Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really excited to be here among you all. Firstly, I'm not a Bollywood actor yet, hopefully one day. And I worked in the South industries, all the three industries, in fact. And so today, I won't be talking much about my films. I'm going to be talking more about something I ventured into recently. And as you all saw, I ventured into the hospitality industry, and I now co-own not one, but it's a chain of gastropubs in Bangalore. We have two bootleggers right now. So it all began with a friend of mine who used to run Mocha in Bangalore. I'm sure you've all heard of Mocha. So at the end of 5 years, she joined hands with a few friends of hers, and she started a high-end Italian restaurant at the junction of Lavelle Road. But in spite of everything going right for it, as you all know, it's a risky business, and something didn't work out, and the business failed to meet expectations financially. So one day they were planning to have a meeting at the ITC, and she was coming straight from her factory, which she also had to manage. And I remember her calling and saying, "I'm not too dressed, can we meet up at another place?" I'm sure this is a very relatable problem, like especially among the ladies, how we often say, "I'm not exactly dressed for a particular occasion or a particular place." And that's when we realized that the entire area had all these high-end places and nothing casual about them. And that's when it struck that probably we should be starting something that is more casual. And that's how Bootlegger's idea came up. And that is our USP, that it is your casual neighborhood bar. So before entering any industry, I think that is the number one prerequisite, to be different from what is already available. Facebook was launched in 2004, and it was a platform where you can upload written content along with pictures. Twitter was launched in 2006, and you could upload pictures in it as well, apart from the written content. But in spite of these two really big companies, Instagram was launched in 2010, and it really became huge because it focused only on the pictures, and it introduced some really interesting filters which really hit it off with the audience. But what if I tell you that in spite of these three big players, Snapchat came in 2011, and it just had one extra feature, that the pictures which were uploaded were going to disappear in 10 seconds. And this is something that the public really loved, because they were keen to post pictures which would probably just be for viewing and not exactly for saving. And with this one idea, Snapchat became as huge as the rest of the companies. So what we can take back home from this is that you should have that one unique selling point. And probably identifying this is the number one prerequisite. I've always been intrigued by how disruptive innovation has been, because it's by how a single idea or an innovation can be so unique that it can create a whole new market. In fact, all the big companies and all the successful companies around us are a result of disruptive innovation. So the second thing that my friend did was she bought out her existing partners, but she retained the place. This reminds me of what Mr. J.W. Marriott once said in an interview. He was asked, what is the key to a successful hotel? And he said three things: location, location, and great location. So according to it, we just kept that location because it was an amazing one, and coincidentally, it's also quite next to the Marriott. And that was the second thing that worked in our favor. The third thing was the pricing. Because when we went through the crowd segment, we figured that there were many corporate offices and a lot of youngsters around that area. So we set the pricing according to our crowd segmentation and also according to the WTP, the willingness to pay. And that worked in our favor because we were the most affordable among all these high-end places around us. So I'm sure a lot of you are wondering how and why, from being a mainstream actor, I ventured into this. Apart from being an investment, it was also my passion towards the hospitality industry that drove me towards it. When I was in America, I was in New York, and there was this place called the Dead Rabbit. And I figured how cocktail making was considered an art, which is something quite new in India. And I was really keen to bring this culture to Bangalore. I just put this thought behind, and one fine day, I got a call where a few friends of mine told me that Bootlegger was looking for a partner because they were also looking to expand. And Bootlegger was already quite a brand when it launched in Lavelle Road, and they were planning to open a bigger one in Indiranagar, and they needed a partner. And although my knowledge about the industry was quite limited, I still thought I should take that big chance, and I invested in it. And now we'll be turning 4 this September. So I've been really lucky, I would say, also, because as I go through my speech, you would know how risky the entire business is. And as a celebrity, I think what I bring to the table is a lot of advantages. Firstly being that I help in the recall value of the brand, apart from it being covered in various on various platforms, I think it really helps to build the recall value of the brand. Secondly, whenever a celebrity associates himself or herself with a brand, it automatically builds a sort of trust in the brand, and that is something I would approve of for now. And the third thing is one cannot ignore the reach of social media today, and I think that is the number one and the biggest advantage that I have brought in by not only being able to reach to a huge audience, but also to a different audience. So what really sets Bootlegger apart in this in a city where there are already so many pubs, I think it is the fact that we are putting in an effort to bring the cocktail culture into Bangalore, which is known to be the beer capital. And in our pursuit to be exclusive, we train our staff to come up with unique cocktails, and we encourage them to go ahead and participate in various events where they can compete. And not only have they competed, but they've also won various titles for us. And this is no easy task, especially because we're a standalone restaurant and most of the competence there come from five-star hotels where they have very good backing. And in turn, these titles have put us into the spotlight. And that is one thing I would really emphasize on, that not only taking care of our staff and encouraging them, giving them that creative freedom is really important, because not only do they grow individually, they build a name for themselves, and it also in turn brings us a name. In today's day and age, it's also that we have to really stay updated and do research and just kind of keep in touch with what is exactly trending across the world. And talent not only lies in innovation, but it also lies in the knack of finding out what is trending and what is hot and being able to adapt it to your company. And especially in the hospitality industry, it's so important because I'm sure most of you keep traveling abroad, and it's really, we do the same thing when we want to bring something nice. So whatever if I spot a very interesting restaurant in Singapore and what they probably do then, I try to adapt that into our place. So that is one thing that I really think is something that we need to emphasize on, about the knack of trying to identify a trend and adapting it into our business. Apart from all this, since I come from a filmy background, the one thing that is very similar between the film industry and the hospitality industry is that both are highly review-based. But unfortunately in films, once a film is released, there's no way you can go back and change a scene or change something in it based on a review. But in the hospitality industry, we have a very big advantage of getting feedback on a daily basis, and this helps us improve on a daily basis. And not only that, it helps in building a kind of rapport with various guests, because the most important thing about the hospitality is that you should make sure your guest comes back. And I think that valuing consumer feedback, not only in hospitality, but I'm sure in all industries, is very, very important. Now, apart from all this, lastly, the one honest advice that I would be giving to all of you is that film industry and hospitality industry, as glamorous as they look on the outside, these two are known to be the riskiest of businesses. So unless you're very passionate about it, make sure you do your research, because the hit to miss ratio in both these industries is very, very low. And of course, most of this that I have said is from the point of view of an investing partner. So definitely there are many other perspectives to this. Thanks so much.